Saturday streams up. Bam.
Hey, welcome everyone to a special edition of Sketch Zone Podcast episode 200. That means that we did this 199 other times, and you would think that we had it figured out. But we kind of do, we kind of don't. Everyone, this is Carlos. I hope you are having a lovely Saturday. I know this one is going to be fun because if you haven't heard yet, Carlos is a little bit obsessed with this thing called Callipeg. So what we went ahead and did, and we reached out to some of the creative folks out there at Callipeg, out there in France, and they let us borrow Benjamin Cerbai.
Yeah. Welcome.
Raise the roof,
Thank
buddy.
you.
What's going on,
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I just discovered your work with the first tutorial, so I've checked a bit of the other videos. I see there is plenty of them, so it's nice to be with the real guys now. So very happy to be here.
Yeah, you're only supporting my software habits, my addiction, if you will.
Yeah.
So before we go getting into it too deeply with Ben, let's go ahead and welcome Jack Kasperzak.
Hello for the special Saturday show, and it's 200 episodes. Just got to stop for a moment and anyway.
You know what's funny, Jack? I this week I went through. Oh, before I go there, hey everyone, we got Landon Wilson.
Hey everybody, thanks for having me on the show. 200, wow, I'm really honored to be here for the 200th show.
Yeah,
So
says the guy who jumped in at 195. Mm-hmm. No, just kidding. Thank you all for taking time to come and hang out, and everyone that's already in the chat room. Hello, welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free to let us know, and we will chime in during our conversation with Ben. So like I was saying, I went back and watched the first episode of Sketch Zone. And what I will say is we have refined the train wreck that is.
It's a much more distinct train wreck.
That's right. It's a train wreck that you want to watch.
The train is bigger and the wreck is even more disastrous. And there's a lot more screaming people. I can't even imagine. I have not watched the first episode in ages. I don't think I could.
It's fun. Yeah, it's a good time. But yeah, going back to episode 200, we were kicking around a lot of different ideas. We're gonna do, and we might still do it. But we were kicking around a bunch of different ideas on how to make episode 200 super special, and it just so happens that an app that everyone is very, very excited about. Now we get to talk about that, and that makes me extremely happy. Hopefully, it makes you guys happy too. So let's talk to Ben. Ben, what was it that made you? Well, I guess I'm all over the place because I'm excited.
Yeah.
How big is the Callipeg team?
Why?
How big is the Callipeg team?
We are just four people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's me, there's Liz on the commercial and sales part, Melanie in the design and animation, and Damien with the only developer of this, so he codes everything.
Wow.
And that's it.
That's amazing. You see what happens when you have some really cool friends?
How long has this been a germination of an idea?
I think we just when we had the idea about I guess now 6 or 7 months ago, maybe We just decided to dive in.
Jesus.
Recently.
To make it, it's pretty
I was
recent.
sort of expecting you to be like, we've been kicking this around for years, and
No, that's only
pretty
us.
awesome.
That's only us.
You guys made it happen.
Yeah, actually,
That's really quick.
It was pretty organic to do. Just let's make it, and we had plenty of time to make it. So we decided to go there and don't pay ourselves until we can, and that's it. Yeah.
But
so
then
basically, it's almost a full-time job for me because I work also on videos and animation and sketches and everything.
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of time, and it also made me learn how to deal with teamwork because I'm a solo guy.
Yeah.
Usually. So it's nice to have it also. Yeah.
So is that your officially your full-time job is doing videos and making art for a living?
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. Are you a designer?
On my side and for Callipeg and for different maybe for different clients sometimes.
Yeah.
Mostly just for my own channel, and I'm seeking for new clients on animation and illustration and everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was researching you too. Landon might say stalking, but I was doing research.
Doing research with the hat and everything in the dark.
So I was looking through your windows, and no, I was watching some of the videos on YouTube, and you do like reaction videos might be the wrong word, but describe some of the content that you make on your own YouTube page.
Lately on YouTube, I'm doing mostly 2 or 3 different concepts. I analyze some animation, so I take a film, a series, or just a scene, and I frame by frame, trying to explain how it works, mostly in 2D, but also in 3D. For example, I analyzed the dragon scene with the meeting with our what's name in the English version, but it's Harold and Croque-Mou in French for the dragon. So I do mostly this, and I also make short animation, short scenes, and I explain everything about the ID, the animatic, the animation, coloring, and having a final edit. So basically, I just create stuff, and I explain how I do it to other passionate about animation and illustration and everything for 5 years now on YouTube.
That's really cool.
So yeah, that's basically it.
No, that's really neat, and that was one of the things that made me subscribe to your channel. Was it was really cool to see. And I just to let you guys know, if we haven't said this already, Ben lives in France and his videos are French. However, if you go down to the closed captioning, you can ask YouTube to translate it on the fly, and so you can make out what Ben is doing. So even though he's speaking French, don't let that keep you from consuming this content. It's really good stuff that he's doing. What's your YouTube URL?
I just my name, I guess.
Okay.
If you go to youtube.com/Cerbai, you should find me.
Okay, cool. And then we'll make sure that your links are in the show notes too.
Cool.
So what was it that made you get into art and drawing and animating?
I would say basically like every one of us, I guess, just growing as a kid and never stopping, I guess.
Yeah.
So I decided really early on, like I was 6 or 7, and I told my mom I will sketch in my life, even if I have to go far away from you. I will sketch.
Made you get into art and drawing. And
like it, Mom.
But she told me that, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty addicted. So yeah. And
So was she supportive? Like in you saying that, or did she come around and she was supportive, or was it kind of contentious?
No, it's my parents are pretty supportive. They just want to help me, and they watch my stuff and everything. And yeah, even to go to art school, it wasn't difficult to go there. I just had to choose a cheap one, but otherwise it was really fine. And it was nice to be like self-taught about animation and everything, because I just learned with tutorials and having my first tiny computer and a Wacom tablet when I was like 14.
Yeah.
And yeah, decided to make stuff. So I'm pretty lucky. I'm pretty lucky to have a tiny computer in school very early on, so I can learn with internet and YouTube and everything. I think it's a generation stuff because I'm pretty young. I was born in 1996. So basically, when I was like in my first classes, I was just with YouTube and everything was coming. So it's a pretty lucky stuff, yeah.
So you said that you were mostly self-taught animation and YouTube wise. What was it that you were studying in school?
In school, I just was in the scientific stuff.
Oh.
I don't know the name for the schools in the US. So it's a lycée in French, but I guess it's high school. It's before university.
Yeah,
so it was
high school,
a generalist stuff.
Yeah.
But I draw and I animate on the side. And after that, I decided to go to art school for 3 years. So basically, when I was 16, and there I just had to like animate and draw and everything, because it wasn't an animation school specifically. I was one of the only students who made animation, because there was no specific animation lessons. It just animation. You go there and hello, make a movie. Okay. so you have to deal with it yourself and with the friends and everything.
That's interesting. Yeah, we had Toby, one of our previous guests, was saying kind of the same thing, that the art schools, they're kind of just sort of let you have kind of free reign. You're just sort of expected to make a film.
Yeah.
And it's at least my perspective, outside perspective, that France is pretty supportive of the arts and pretty supportive of even animation in general. I feel like France has a pretty good animation community and understanding. Is that true, or is that just sort of an American perspective?
I think for the industry in general, France is like a big stuff. But I don't know if animation is really a common stuff for people. We watch cartoons and everything, but I don't know if there is more people interested in animation. We just have some famous schools like Gobelin and everything.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
For the industry, it's a big stuff, but I don't know if the French are more likely to love animation. So sociologically, I'm not sure about it.
And that's been a common thread through France's history. French people have, if you read through the art history books, the French have been very, very proud of their fashion, of their art, of their fine art, of animation and everything. Is the French government very supportive of the arts still, or are they kind of like the Americans, where they're kind of crapping all over the arts and telling people to work in factories?
I don't know really about the schools, but I know that there is a how can I call it, like a national center of cinematography, which can give money to different studios and to help the production. So there is a system with the cinema and the films. Each cinema ticket you buy, there is a small percentage that goes to that center, and which is distributed to other productions. So when you go to see like a big franchise, a Star Wars movie, you will give a little money to small productions that doesn't have that much impact. So but it's not animation only. It's for cinema in general.
That's awesome. I wish we had that.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And also the schools are more are less expensive than in the US. Like the big schools, the private schools are like in animation like 5,000 or 6,000 euros a year, and
Oh
it's
wow.
like the big ones, the expensive one. So
Wow.
so it's very cheap
Yeah,
comparing
yeah.
to the US, but it wasn't cheap for me.
Yeah, I mean it's relative at the end of the day, but comparatively to us, yeah, that's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, like here, I think school, especially art schools, are like 5,000 a week.
A quarter, I would say
Yeah,
for sure a quarter.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a quarter.
Um,
We
so
don't have
what?
that much student loans problem, because when I watch like financial videos and everything coming from the US, it's
Yeah,
always pay your student loans and then you can do something,
yeah.
and we
So
don't have that much of problems.
that's really interesting because that's one of the most common kind of complaints amongst fresh students fresh out of school, particularly in the arts, because the arts, at least in the U.S., are kind of known for not paying real well, at least early on. And so when you're straddled with these incredible debts, and then you're also trying to make a living on a not so well paying job, it's really tough for artists. So for you, that seems like it's kind of set up in a little different way, that you're kind of coming out of school not necessarily debt free, but it's certainly a lot less.
Yeah.
And then the pay in the art industry, is it comparable to other industries, and do you feel a little comfortable coming out of school?
I think the art is maybe like in the US, you don't live well from arts at the beginning, and you're really starving and everything at the start. For example, now I can live from what I do, but also because I have some money I have from earlier jobs and everything. So
Mhm.
so I have to deal that also. I think coming from art schools, the diploma itself is not really worth it in my point of view. But what you have learned will make you, if you're good enough, access some studios and everything. And I guess also the studios around the world are picking animators from the big schools. So everyone almost from the Gobelin goes to DreamWorks and Pixar and Disney and everything. So you
Yeah.
just steal our artists. So yeah, that's how it works. You go there, okay, nice, okay.
That is a highly sought after school for sure. It's
Yeah,
unreal how many times I see like student films from Gobelin, like on art directors' wall. I mean, like professional art directors who've been doing this for years and years are referencing student. It's amazing. They
yeah,
do.
that
Some of
one
those guys
yeah,
just do
great.
incredible work.
Yeah.
So Ben, I was just flipping through your Instagram, and I
Mhm.
saw somewhere where you were putting down some. It looked like powdered paint, and then you were wetting it and like mixing it all together. Do you get into like oil paint and gouache paints and all that stuff too?
Oh, you mean at school?
In school, or even just
Uh,
as a hobby? Do you get into like traditional art styles too?
I have drawn a lot, like paper with ink,
Mm-hmm.
mostly black and white.
Okay.
But I have just to do some painting and gouache and everything for school. But I really prefer the digital stuff
Yeah.
because of the freedom.
Sure.
I don't put it everywhere. So I'm not really skilled in traditional painting. I tried, but it's a bit
Mhm.
difficult for me. I just made some animation with charcoal at school for my short film. It was a short documentary with real images and some animations with charcoal, so big papers. And I just draw stuff, take a picture, erase, draw stuff, take a picture. So
Oh
it was a
Oh,
wow.
nice
cool.
experience. Yeah, only
Oh,
Because
so
few
you
seconds.
you're racing. You're like doing it on a single surface.
Yeah, that's it. One sheet for each shot, and then you
Oh,
have the like the I don't know the word, but when I erase, you can see the previous frame a bit, and
oh
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
about the story. Also, it was the story of my grandfather in the mines, so going under the ground and working every day. So the charcoal was really the nice tool to express that idea. So that's basically my
That's cool, though.
skills. Yeah, but I really prefer to just take a little sketchbook with a pen in my pocket and sketch anywhere.
Yeah, there's something, even just being able to step away from digital. Number one, it gives your eyes a break from staring at all these lights all the time. But there's just something that's very, I want to say, this is going to sound so completely like woo woo, but it's good for the soul. You know, you feel the pencil and the paper and everything, and you get that texture. It just brings it back to, I don't know, to where we come from, I guess.
Yeah, it's more alive sometimes to just put the hands and draw stuff and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: when in France, when you guys look at the animation industry, or the maybe even just the animations themselves that are coming out of the U.S., are you guys a fan of the stuff that's coming out of the United States, or are you guys like, oh boy, these guys are at it again? Like the loud neighbors are partying again. Like what do French people think of like American animators?
It's a big question. I think the big films from the big studios are really successes in France also.
Yeah.
But I don't know personally. I don't know many independent animators, even in other countries.
Yeah.
So I'm not really. I don't have a lot of culture in the names and everything.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, the three big animation countries we watch in France are like French stuff, American with Disney, Cartoon Network, that kind of stuff, and the Japanese with all the anime and the Ghibli Trigger Studio and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I think that basically the same stuff we see, because there is some like we don't see much animation coming from Africa, for example, and I think it's going to be a big market in the future.
Yeah.
Because they are going to have the pounds and everything.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to have that coming new industry, because for now we don't really know many other studios than the big Japanese, French, and United States one. So
Yeah.
kind of a shame, but I think it will change in the coming years. But yeah, but basically I think American films are really successful, and French people seems to like it. So, yeah.
See, the reason I ask is we as in Americans, we have a almost a bad habit. It's not almost. We have a bad habit to not. We're very self-centered, and we think that we're the center of the universe. So, and it's not very often. And I say that, you know, with all the love and respect that I can possibly give Americans, but we very much look at ourselves and think that we are the center of the universe and animation universe and everything. And it's not a lot of times that we can reach out to people that don't live here to kind of get an outsider's perspective, especially as creatives and animators and stuff. Like, it's really cool. I think it's a great time and an opportunity to be able to reach out to people that live in France and say, "Hey, are we ruining this for you guys too?" Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think so, but yeah, the American way of life, as we say it, is everywhere now. In every country, you can go to, I guess, some Asian country and just feel like America. So
Yeah.
I think there is that stuff, obviously, but in the animation part, I think there is pretty much many different things. If you are seeking for independent movies and everything, you can find them. For example, the one I don't know the nationality, but with the Van Gogh paintings. I don't know if you
Oh
have seen it.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
What is it?
I think
Loving
it's not from.
Vincent, I think
Loving
it was called.
Vincent. Yeah.
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 So that kind of stuff can have quite good success, not a Disney success, but a good success.
Yeah.
So that's nice
Yeah.
to see that it's possible yet.
And not to mention, I mean, we can go and not that they're American, but there was definitely an American influence. Spa Studios in Spain came out with Klaus last
Yeah.
year, and you know it's wonderful just to see 2D being hard headed and saying no, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
like this is one of the things that's very important to me, and since I'm American, you know, it's all about me. I think this is one of the reasons why something like Callipeg makes a huge difference in our lives, is because our society is kind of they don't have the same passion for the arts as much as they used to. Like the group in general, we have a couple little pockets of incredibly passionate art lovers that you know, that obviously really do care about fine art and good animation and all that stuff. But Callipeg is making animation very approachable to just normal people, which on one hand is really cool because it's approachable, but then, you know, we might have to wade through a lot of trash to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the kind of balance we are willing to have. It's a balance between getting to the studios and the professionals. That's the main market, because we want it to be in the production and making movies and people who already know how to animate. But since it is an iPad app, it has to be pretty accessible, even with the prices. So it gets new people can learn with it. Many students wanted to try, and also my young niece, she has like 8 or 9 years old, and she just drew and understood. Okay, I go to the next frame, I draw, a sheet appears, and then she could understand the animation in like a few minutes.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that it's accessible for everyone. But the difficulty in the development is how to make it simple and also sophisticated in the features, because the beta testers and the pros are always looking for like how can we export to After Effects and some very specific thing, and we have to do this without putting where and written words and everything, just the gestures and stuff. So it's pretty hard to find the balance, and I think it's a good experience to make the design of it, to make it simple and complex and complete at the same time.
Yeah, it's interesting because that was, and even as a professional, I think there is a, you know, it's not all just about like bringing new people or people who aren't in animation. It's also, there's also this balance for professionals, because like I mean I've been doing this a long time, but and Carlos knows my struggle with softwares, and I'm constantly like, I get this new idea that I'm like, well, if I learn that software, then I can do this, and then I just struggle with the interface or learning. So I mean, I think it is even fair to say that, you know, with well-established professionals who know what they're doing, there is still that threshold that's like, hey, this is a new software. Is the learning curve too steep? You know, is it too different from what I'm doing now, yet does it still achieve everything I want him to do? And, you know, Carlos was making his tutorial video, and at the same time I was attempting to make a video, but really it was more for me to just kind of explore it. And that was like my first evaluation. It was like, what is the learning curve on this thing? Like, how much can I just figure out by myself without having to watch a ton of tutorials? And I was like blown away. Like, I was like, man, I'm already like animating within like 5. Yeah, sure, there's some things I couldn't figure out or some couple things I struggled with, but on the whole, like, I was 80% animating with just like 5 minutes in. And I think that's really important for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that the first look you have on it is really crucial for us. That's why when we hire a new beta tester, we just say we can give you tutorials and everything, but just go there, try stuff, and see how it goes. For example, the famous tap tap drag, you can't really figure out by yourself. It was really fun to see you like tap tap drag. Okay, you just tap tap. You don't leave the pencil. You tap tap and drag. It was like, okay, just do it precisely, quickly, and it was repeating 10 times in the video.
Yeah,
it was really funny to watch. Yeah,
but that's just it, right? Like, even I knew that that people were going to get frustrated, and they were going to tap tap drag, and it probably wasn't going to work because I was sitting there for 5-10 minutes trying to figure out the proper technique to get it going, and I wanted to be 100% clear with people, like, it's going to work. You just have to figure out the actual the physical movement of it. Don't give up on this app. Don't. And that's what I was trying to push. Like, this app is worth it. Just give it 30 seconds, get a good grasp of what they're trying to do with this thing. And don't give up, because this is literally the best 2D app on the iPad, period.
I mean, I'm going to be honest, it beats some desktop apps.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and let me go ahead and throw this out there. If you need a few more beta testers, I know some guys that might be sitting on this stream with us that'll be all in to help you guys out.
Yeah, I will talk to it. I will talk about it with the team, but I think it's possible to, because the more beta testers we have, the best it is.
Yeah.
If they're like a technical person who can animate stuff, having real production deals and everything. Yeah. So it's good to have people from the industry to beta test. Yeah. So I would definitely talk about it.
Yeah. And for me, it's not a challenge like a I have to learn how to draw on this thing. That's it. Like, I've been playing in Callipeg for a few days and I'm very comfortable in it. So, but when I made those tutorials, youtube.com/coconutjustice, go there and subscribe. When I was making those tutorials, there was a couple things as I was doing the tutorial, I did something and I learned something new, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I would do that thing and then I'd cut it in to make it look like I knew what the hell I was doing. But someone was writing in the comments saying, oh, but that this is all fine and good, but you can't do professional work on the iPad. And it wasn't, I don't think that they were talking about Callipeg specifically. I think they were talking about doing professional work on the actual iPad. So now I'm hell bent on, I'm literally, not as we speak, but I'm currently doing a paid project that's going to be finished in Callipeg just to prove that you can do professional quality work in Callipeg on the iPad.
I can add to that. I mean, I know that's the stigma. I think it's really that. It's a mental thing that people need to get over. And I know, like, with apps like Callipeg and Procreate and all these that are just making it better and better, we will very quickly overcome that. But I can also vouch for that. I mean, I've worked on professional projects where some of the art team is actually doing work on an iPad that actually goes into production. So it is happening. Like, whether you see it or not, people are doing it for professional work.
Yeah, and the question is that in a studio or is that in a?
Yeah, that I'm talking about, like, studio, like DreamWorks, like, level productions. Like, some of the art team is going outside, doing their doodles or their character design, and then they send it in. And yeah, they might have to send it to Photoshop to clean up and fit formatting or whatever. But the actual work of drawing the character is done, like, on an iPad.
Yeah. And
go ahead, Landon.
Does DreamWorks have like any sort of proprietary app? I don't know if you can say anything, but Like I know Disney has their own
Um,
storyboarding app that they can use in-house.
I mean, there's a lot of proprietary stuff in the features division. The television, not art based. No,
Okay.
no.
And basically for the independent, as I am for my animation and everything, the iPad is just a good way to have everything in a small size tablet because literally I don't own a computer anymore. I just have an iPhone and an iPad, and I make everything
Wow.
from the videos to the illustration, animation, the communication with my team and everything. So I do like I illustrate in Callipeg or Procreate mostly, and I just do the editing on LumaFusion. I can also make a 3D modeling on Forger, an app like a ZBrush light
Yeah,
on the iPad. So everything can fit in here depending on your needs. You can't make a really big 3D stuff. You can't render
sure.
stuff. But for small things, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. So going into like back to the idea of Callipeg, because of the four of you, are you all artists, or were some of you technical people or production? Like, or did it all come from an art background?
I'm from the art background. Also, Melanie. So she does. She designs the icons. Also, she makes the documentation, the website. So we have to also learn on the go because, for example, she's not a web developer, but she had to learn how to design a website with WordPress and everything just to make it good for Callipeg. So we have to learn everything. For example, I'm also the technical guy for the email and stuff. I have to answer technical questions. And Liz is really, she's not an artist, but she knows really well the animation industry, specifically the Japanese animation industry.
Okay.
And the people in the studio and everything. And Damien is the technical guy, really just develops everything, but he has to also have a designer eye when he has to help us design the way we want and everything. So we have to be like complementary, I guess.
For
but
sure.
Mostly there is two really full artists in the team, but the others have also love animation and design and art and everything.
How was it that you guys found each other? How did this team come to be?
Basically, from our previous jobs, we just knew each other from different company associations and everything. So we know each other for a few years, and we just decided because we had a good, we became friends. But
you had good chemistry.
Friends with So it's we know that we like and we love each other, but there is also the working part because we met each other in the workplace. So this is not like okay, buddies, just make something.
Yeah,
it's a work stuff. So that's basically it. We just met each other in the industry and decided when we have plenty of time to do projects that we can make it because we were a bit frustrated because Procreate had an animation stuff, but pretty simple.
Yeah.
And Rough Animator is good, but missing some navigation stuff and everything. So we just decided to make one that fits our needs and the needs we know the studios have and everything. So that's it.
Yeah, I mean that's the really good way to have. This is the perfect friends with benefits situation. Like all of you guys speak the same language, and like you said, it's you guys met in the workplace, so you knew that you can work together, and you knew strengths and weaknesses and stuff, and you guys came out with magic, literally magic.
Thank you.
Well, and then you guys, I'm trying to build up to the point where you guys decided to go on Kickstarter. What was that conversation like?
We knew that we needed finances, but there was a technical stuff that made it less easy because on Kickstarter, what works well is the final product. Like I have a drone you can buy it for $300 and you will get it, and you will have the product. But with an iPad app, you can't do that. So that's why we decided to have some rewards, but only like files and everything, because we couldn't give the app at for reward stuff.
Right.
But we just needed some finances, because before the app was made, we knew that we needed 5, 6, 7 months before it can be sold. And we just wanted to see if people were interested. So what we have seen is that some people are interested to found us, but more people were interested to just make the app available now in the App Store, so they can buy it now.
Yeah.
So we knew that the Kickstarter couldn't be a $1 million Kickstarter because of that product stuff.
Yeah.
But it made the first Callipeg feedbacks and hype we needed to get to the App Store a few months later, and people buying it like right now.
Yeah.
And also it was nice to have some people we knew from the industry, like Travis, like also Pierre Coffin from MacGuff Illumination, and other people that made beta tests and reviews. So it was nice to have some network from previous jobs and everything.
Yeah.
So it was a good help.
Yeah.
But basically we had to make it from the start, from zero. Nobody knew like our Callipeg work and everything, so we had to build this. And I think you were following us from the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
You told that, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
actually, Jack, Landon, and I, we saw it, and I think it was probably Landon that was like, hey, look, there's this new storyboarding app. Landon is a little bit on the obsessive compulsive storyboarding thing. You got to be careful what you say to him, because he will storyboard it. But yeah, I think it was Landon that found it, and he's like, hey guys, take a look at this. And from there, we just kept like sitting there looking and waiting and looking and waiting. And then finally, when it came out, we were all over it. And again, going back to when I first installed the app, a lot like what Jack was saying, you know, within seconds I was already animating, and the brushes felt pretty good, and everything seemed to make sense. And that's why I was like, okay, we need these guys to get some momentum and let everyone know that this is out here, because it's for a first iteration, you guys really did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, good job on that. And just to correct the record, I think Jack was the one that donated to the Kickstarter. So I think he was the first person.
Yeah, and then
but
it was like,
I was on top of every tweet that they had and everything. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Jack.
I think I found the Kickstarter and I shared it in our little group, and then I was like, oh, if this thing's real, this is going to be awesome. And I donated it. And then I'll be honest, I totally forgot about it. And then Landon sent it out when it was a real thing, and I was like, oh, it happened.
Yeah, but basically before launching the Kickstarter, we already have a pretty stable version.
Yeah.
So we knew that without the Kickstarter, it will be possible to just sell it, but we needed some communication beforehand.
Yeah.
And it was a nice way to just, found us, and in a few months you can get it. So that's what we decided to do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Landon.
I would just I had a question about the pricing, just because I thought that was interesting. It seemed like you guys listened to feedback about prices before you like released it, and you changed what the price was going to be. And it seems like it's a pretty good price point to let people, use the app and not have like a barrier, not let them say, oh, I can't afford that. But I don't know if that's sustainable for you guys developing the app. Do you what was your conversation like with your team about that?
basically we had to find a balance between the price of a very complete app and the price of other apps and iPad apps in general. Because for now, the iPad is not a complete working machine for many people, and so the apps are really cheap on this.
Yeah.
And also the first version is complete and you can work with it, but we will add many more features to it. So we decided to go with a affordable price from the beginning, and then eventually we can I don't know how to say it. I don't know the verb. Just take the prices up is included or something like this. So we are going to see what happens on this side. But the goal was to make it accessible to anybody with a kind of barrier, because there is no free trial. So if you are not interested enough to put $1 in it, but that's like psychological stuff. If you can't donate a dollar to have a product, maybe you're not that interested in it now. So we had to find the correct balance. And
I think that's totally
we
fair.
are going
That's
to
great.
see, because we need many with that price points. Sorry for the English. We need many customers. So we are going to see in the next months how it goes, if many people are buying it, and we are going to maybe adjust through the time that the features going more and more advanced, because we are planning to add sounds. We are currently working on the video import, so it works already. You can just drag and drop a video, and bam, layer video is here, and you can just have a video reference like in editing software. So it's currently almost in beta testing. For now, only the developer can have it. So I'm really waiting for that. And I will test it for my videos and everything. So that's coming in the near future.
Yeah.
And there will be sound, and we also want to make export to After Effects, for example, because we know the pipelines are pretty like close. We just animate and then export in JSON files and everything. So we are working on that to make it compatible with, for example, TV Paint, Harmony, and After Effects, and how to put the layers and everything in another software.
Awesome.
So that's pretty
cool.
That's pretty easy, if I can say that, to do. But the other way is not that easy. You can't really think about a nice way to import an After Effects stuff in a simpler software. So the export is possible. The import, we don't know yet how to deal with it. For example, importing PSD or that kind of stuff. But and we are only 4, so we are structuring the stuff. Okay, we have to deal with this, fix that bug, and adding a feature and communicating on it. And it's we are pretty much in the building stuff and just trying to get the nice workflow and everything for it to work.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, before we change the subject from pricing, just to be clear, let people know, the pricing structure is 99 cents a month, $10 a year, or you can buy it outright for $50. You cannot buy proper animation software for $50. Period.
There's no other software.
Now you can.
Yeah.
And this is what's cool. This is what even the pricing structure makes this very approachable, because if you don't feel comfortable giving $50, or if you don't have $50, that's fine. There's, try it out for a month for $1. You lose $1 in your couch every day. So
you could go beg on the street for $1.
Yeah. So, and the cool thing is this, I love that you guys did that, because one, I was able to convince myself that I love this thing, 99 cents. And then there was a conversation that was happening on one of my tutorials where this guy says, yeah, this application looks really cool, but I'm tired of being nickel and dimed and everything is a subscription model. And I said, no, you can buy it for $50 outright. And he goes, oh, does that include upgrades and stuff? I go, yep, as far as I know, it includes upgrades. He goes, oh, I'm going to go get it now. So
Yeah.
you get both. You guys are catering to both crowds, the ones that maybe don't want to give you $50 right now, and then the ones that say, I don't want a subscription.
Yeah, and I know as an artist and a customer, I like to just buy one stuff one time.
Right.
And that's what I do with my software and everything. So I know that my profile, like the independent who want to do everything with different tools, wants to have just a one-time purchase.
Yeah.
But the studio, like if a studio wants to hire 2 people to colorize or just to in between something, they just pay like $4 to have 2 people 2 months, and they can get.
Oh yeah, that's true, huh?
So in the production, it can also be pretty affordable to have this and just cancel the subscription. So I think it's the right balance for the freelancers,
Man,
studios, and everything.
That's such a cool business model. If I was a producer, I'd be like, hey guys, I got these 8,000 frames that need coloring, but you get to sit on an iPad outside in the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that?
Good point. Yeah.
That, I mean, even more approachable. Like, the more we talk, the more I'm like, okay, I'm one step closer into my infatuation with this thing. Like,
Yeah.
now I just have to learn how to draw and we're set.
I'm just curious about how do you use your iPad for your work? Do you have a desk or just sitting on the couch or even outside? How do you use your iPad for work, like location-wise?
I'm going to say yes to all of those.
Yeah, Carlos is the iPad guy for sure.
Yeah.
He calls with an iPad. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
He does. He totally does.
yeah.
You get the watch. He's got the watch synced to it. It's like a whole.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. So for my birthday this year, I got an Apple Watch, right? So I can set up.
Nice.
I can set up my camera. My camera is my phone, or even my iPad. I set up my camera, and I can take a look and set up the scene off of my watch, and then I can trigger the shutter off my watch. So then that way, I do. What is it? Creatives on Couches Having Coffee, which eventually all of you guys are invited to be a part of that conversation too. But so yeah, I set everything up, and then I trigger I remote trigger off my watch, and then I do all my goofiness, and then I edit everything for that series, I guess it's called. I do all of the editing on the iPad because I want to show people that this thing you can do a lot more than you think you can on this.
Yeah.
Right. And so even with the Artist Al Fresco series that I do, a lot of times I'll do that on the desktop. But there's one episode where I went to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I did everything on iOS devices. So I shot everything on my phone. I edited everything on the iPad, and quite honestly, like that's one of my favorite, if not my favorite episode of Artist Al Fresco. And this is where I get excited. Tech nerd alert. Yeah, seriously. And this is where, again, Callipeg gets me excited because it fits so beautifully into my workflow. Where, say, I'm working on an animation for Artist Al Fresco, I don't have to be stuck in my office. I can do this, sitting in a park or at an aquarium or wherever, and it doesn't, I'm not chained to my desk anymore, and that's been my whole push for not just my channel, but specifically Artist Al Fresco, is like, go outside and experience life. There's a lot of we live on a really cool planet. In this solar system, this is the only planet that has anything really popping. So, like, go out there and make it happen, right?
I just imagine
Yeah.
some aliens in another solar system with iPad and everything like the same. But maybe there is animation outside in the universe. It could be cool.
And maybe there hasn't been, and then finally Callipeg came out, and now there's a bunch of aliens out there finally getting their animation going.
Pirating the software.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man.
I'm the same way as Carlos. I go out. I mean, I was down by the river, the Los Angeles River, yesterday, I think, or the day before. Getting some exercise on my bike, and I was under the bridge there, getting some shade and just working on the iPad using Callipeg, finishing the rough pass on those storyboards. And it's just really, it's nice to be able to, get some inspiration from my surroundings. And especially like I live in this tiny apartment, studio apartment, and like this office right here is like 3 feet by 3 feet. I've got a curtain. Like, that's the door.
Nice. You're in the closet, Landon. Like,
I'm literally in the closet is right here. This is the closet, basically. So getting outside is really, important to my workflow.
Yeah.
Whether it be a coffee shop or just outside in the park or whatever.
Do you want to paint 8,000 frames for me? I'm just kidding.
Hey.
I'm just kidding.
Landon is like, yes, I do.
So kind of circling back to a point you had brought up a little bit ago about, because we were talking revenue model and then like upgrades and kind of as it builds. How have you guys been thinking about this, like, long-term big picture? Like, I know you obviously have a certain amount of things you want to add, but, one of the risks, and I'm going to be brutally honest, I love Procreate, but it's like creeping on that borderline now where it's become so big. There's a lot that I struggle with, like remembering all of the special things and where all the menus are hidden. And I know Photoshop is just like a beast at this point. So in terms of you guys kind of keeping it as cool and as streamlined and as easy to use as it is, how do you see this like growing in adding all the things you want?
I think it will take a few years at least to put everything we need in an animation mobile studio. But basically, if there is other needs, I think it will be possible. We don't really talk about each other now, but I think it would be possible to make other apps, for example, to other needs, to other animation industry stuff. So I think there is lots of stuff to do. But with Callipeg, there is many things to add to make it complete. But you're right. We don't have to put everything in it.
Yeah.
We will have to deal with that kind of stuff, making it simple, as I said earlier, and not being a huge stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like Photoshop or the Adobe stuff and we can't do that on the iPad basically. We can't have thousands of menus and everything.
Yeah.
Because even with the keyboard and the trackpad now, you can't really have the same use as you have like on a laptop or a desktop. So I think there will be more tools to develop on the side, I guess, like in 5, 6, 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah,
so totally.
That could be the way, I guess.
I could totally see like a Callipeg studio that, this one's for animating, this one's for, I don't know, camera, something or other. This one's for image processing. This one, like I could totally see. That'd be cool.
I wanted to ask Landon, because Landon has used this app for storyboarding. Out of everything that and I think you've played with Storyboard Pro and all that stuff, What was your experience like when you were doing the storyboarding for your project?
I mean, overall, it was pretty great. I think like adding dialogue and stuff obviously would be nice to be able to do that rather than having to like draw it in. But having dialogue would have been nice. But otherwise, just like drawing, I'm really impressed with the drawing capabilities of the app, like just the feel. I mean, I like drawing, honestly. It's probably better than Procreate, I think. I don't always use Procreate. I usually use Infinite Painter, but it's really good. And the only thing, I think I had a little bit of like, I think hiccups, maybe because I had so many panels. But pretty much I would give it like an A, you know. Like I've used I use Storyboarder, which is a free storyboarding program for Windows for desktop, and that's great too. But it's just especially for the setup that I have, it's an old setup. I guess my laptop is a little old, so drawing on it is not as nice, and there's a lot more hiccups, you know, technical difficulties, you know. I was just, you know, I was really impressed with it, honestly. I look for, I kind of heard, I know I've heard that you're maybe doing some sort of storyboarding specific part of Callipeg, so I'm pretty interested in that.
Yeah, that's the thing we want to develop for making it easy to animate and putting some traveling, zoom, and everything, and having like a tiny editing software in Callipeg that you can export easily in a PNG sequence or anything, and just use it like that in other editing software. But basically, the goal, one of the goals, is to be able to storyboard and make an animatic pretty easily. That's what I do now for a music video I'm making currently. But I just that's the latest video on my YouTube channel. So I just put one sheet of paper in Callipeg for each element, and I draw like the character. I draw the background on another layer, and I just export that in PNG. And I use every element in LumaFusion to edit and make camera movements and everything, and make an animatic. So I hope it will be possible to make that kind of stuff in Callipeg one day, because for now I have to go from one tool to the other. But it's pretty fine to do that. So if you need to make an animatic, Callipeg and LumaFusion is a good combination, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I use LumaFusion on the iPad too. It's that combination is the real deal. Yeah. Now that I look down, Malo is asking, do you think iPad artistic application here? Let's do that. Do you think that iPad artistic application interconnectivity must be the next step? Has to be. Do you think iPad artistic application interconnectivity has to be the next step?
Oh, like like connecting applications together, and
yeah, I think it would be a good way to make a full pipeline on the iPad. You have to make bridges between the apps. You have to draw in one, animate, and then export. So I think it's we have to make it easy to do that.
Yeah,
we have to make it the more complete possible, to just export, import from anywhere, brushes, PSDs, and everything. So I think that's one of the goals of any app. Or you can make just a prison app where everything has to be here and you can't go anywhere else. But that's what we want to do. We want to make a pipeline and put Callipeg in pipeline already existing in the animation industry.
Yeah. And then Malo says like Adobe. Yeah. The interconnectivity between apps is not necessarily a Callipeg thing or even Adobe thing. Those are device specific challenges, and it's not just the iPad. That's for all these mobile devices, with the exception of, say, like maybe a Wacom Creative Studio Pro or whatever. That's because it's actually running like desktop
it's a Windows,
software.
so yeah.
So that has a little bit more capabilities because you're running the actual Adobe Creative Suite, or what are the Creative Cloud? So that's not a software level thing. That's an actual hardware level thing. But I mean, we see that Apple is slowly but surely opening up the iPad, and it's getting more and more desktop level stuff. And that's going to be a cool day when, say, you can do an animation in Callipeg and then you hit export to Callipeg video producer or whatever, and then it'll automatically open up the video producer app, and then your animation will be there, and you can chop it up and add music or whatever the hell it is that you want to do to it.
Yeah. And basically for now, one of the challenges is to deal with storage and archive everything. It's pretty. It can be pretty difficult. I don't know what is your storage for your iPad, but I have a 256 gigabytes, and with, for example, editing software, editing apps, it can fit pretty quickly with a huge video, because it has to get the rush on the iPad. You can't work from a hardware, hard drive, and everything. So I think for Callipeg we have to implement stuff to just export to the cloud easily, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that for now I'm using something like this. It's a hard drive from Western Digital, and it's like the NAC box you talked about.
The NAR box,
the last episode. Yeah. So it's basically it, but a big one. And I use this because I film with that, and I just put my SD card here.
Yep.
And then I can import them in the iPad, but I have to import physically in the iPad the stuff, so it will fit the storage. And for Callipeg, the storage is also a big challenge, because in other apps you have limitations on the layers, on the number of frames you can have. But for example, here we had I made the pigeons animation. It was 350 frames long with 15 layers, and it has to be somewhere on the disk.
Right.
So it's a big challenge to optimize it. But with the new updates, we are finding new ways to optimize. For example, not showing and not displaying every thumbnails on the frames. So when you don't see it in the timeline, it's not displayed. But for now, it in the latest, in the previous version, it was always calculating the thumbnails, so it could make some slowliness and everything. So we had to optimize it, and we discovered this with people feedbacks, because they are like, okay, I made a 4K shot with 800 frames, and it lags a bit. Yeah, that's an iPad. You don't have like terabytes and everything, but we have to make it as fluid as we can.
I would say the fact that you can animate in 4K on an iPad is impressive alone. I kind of would expect it to lag.
Yeah, like,
but I think when it's here, it's like okay, it's
for
granted. It just okay, it should work, but it's a big stuff in itself. But if you can do a bit, you have to make it the full range of stuff. But it's not that easy technically. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a question. As far as like say Procreate, depending on what iPad you have, it will limit the amount of layers. Do you guys have anything like that, or can you just use any iPad with the Callipeg app? And also, do you have any expected, like, I don't know, expected limitations as well? Like maybe if you have the latest iPad, you can do a certain amount of layers, or at a certain resolution.
For now, there is no limitation depending on the iPad. It's compatible with any iPad with iOS 13, and you can make up to 4,000 to 4,000 pixels shots, whatever the iPad. But it will depend on the storage you have. For the 4K stuff, it will take a lot of storage, because when you have a .peg file, it's just an archive. Basically, it's like a zip if you want. So it's compressed, and when you put it in Callipeg, it's decompressed, and the file is really big at this moment. So for now, we have not limitation, but it could. We are just advising people to work in 1920 1080,
right?
And if you have too many frames, just make different shots to have the performance going well. But for example, Liz has an iPad Pro from not the latest one, because there is a new one, but it's a previous one with the magnetic stylus and everything. And I don't have that. I have the previous version with the old stylus.
Yes,
and it works pretty well with it. And the developer has an iPad Classic, so the 6th or 7th generation, and it works also, but it's a bit less performant because there is not the same processor and everything. But it works on every iPad, and you can open huge files and work with it on this small iPad processor-wise. We just didn't test it on the iPad Mini because we don't have one, and we don't really know how it is. For example, with the interface, how does the interface look on a tiny screen? We don't really know that yet, but it could be cool to have some iPad Mini users feedback, because it will work on it. But we don't know the performances, and like, is it too small or something like that?
Do you have like should we have like a pretty empty hard drive to be using this?
It's depending on the file you are going to work on and your storage. For example, the more storage on my iPad is taken by LumaFusion, because I made a 40 minutes tutorial in 4K from the iPhone, so it's a huge file. But with Callipeg, it could take a few gigabytes, with a big file, but it won't be like 30 or 40. I think it would be this if you had a 4K with thousands of frames, and the app would not support it anyway. So I think
is there a feature? Is there a feature within the app that shows you? I mean, I know the iPad settings in general, you can see like app usage. Is that fairly accurate, or is there a setting in Callipeg that you can see that?
I think what you see in the iPad settings is really the storage taken by Callipeg. But I just talked about it with Damien a few days ago, that we should have in the studio near the definition just the file size. It could be nice, because you can't see it in your files when you import a Callipeg file. You can't. The app can't know yet the size of it, because it's a compressed archive. But when it's on the studio, I think we can display that, and it could be interesting. Because for now, if you open a huge project, you're clicking on it, and you're just waiting, and you don't know how long. So we have to make a charging bar or something like this.
Yeah.
So that's the stuff we are talking about, and we are going to add it in the near future, I guess, because I don't think it's that difficult to add. But it's an important thing to have in a workflow, because you have to know the size of it and how much you can store and how many files and everything. You have also to tell people, if I send you a PEG file which is 2,200 megabytes, and when you open it, it's
exactly
2 gigs.
you have to tell people about that. Yeah.
But here's a pro tip. if you are doing video or animations, whatever, and your ultimate goal is to have it on YouTube, go ahead and make it in 1080p. But then when you go to export, bump that up to 4K resolution, and then let YouTube, because YouTube is going to compress it anyway, is going to do whatever it does. But if you do it in 1080p, export it to YouTube in 4K, it's going to treat it a little bit better than, and your memory is going to be a little bit better on your iPad. But then again, the compression, blah, 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 that happens on YouTube. For some reason, it still looks fantastic when you when you export at 4K is basically what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I will try this, I guess, because for now I just I shoot in 4K, but I export directly in 1080p for storage reasons, and just I don't know if a tutorial in 4K is that relevant. It's also because I have only tiny screens, so I don't see videos in large surfaces.
Yeah, if I were you, I mean, besides looking at your lovely face in high definition, like, you know, even if you shot in 1080p, and did all your editing and everything, and then exported that, again, it's still going to look really good. YouTube is going to treat it favorably if you export it in 4K.
I would try. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. Do you think, Malo again, do you think the current iPad screen size will be sufficient in the future?
It's a question I have on my YouTube channel, because I'm like a iPad evangelist now. People are buying iPad because I say, yeah, buy iPad, it's great. But even people say to me, like, can you do a contest and we can win iPad? I just have one. I can't buy another. I won't buy you one, guy. But so basically, I think for me, the 10, I think it's 10.5 inches is fine for me for the mobility of it and for working. Right. But I think it will be fine in the future too, because it's already fine.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what I can say about it. If you want a bigger one, go to the 12. But it's too big for me, the 12. Like I really take it everywhere, so it would be too much for me.
Yeah.
But I think the two sizes are actually pretty optimal depending on your needs. So yeah.
Right.
It's already
you
fine.
Need a different iPad size for every activity. You need like 3 or 4 iPads.
Yeah, that's it. One for the desk, one for the pocket.
Yeah. And that
kind of coming to that, to be honest.
It boils down to what are you going to be using it for? And I've had conversations and made videos about this before, where the reason why I got the smaller iPad, besides price, and the fact that you can connect an external storage device to this device, all of that saved me a little bit of money on the front end. But then I got the smaller one because I'm able to fit it in my bags a lot better. And it's crazy how just that extra 1.5 inches makes a complete difference. So take a look at how your creation habits, like where are you going to be drawing the most? If you're going to be home and you need a little bit more real estate, which like when you're working in LumaFusion, that makes a big difference. That extra 1.5 inches makes a huge difference, because LumaFusion's interface takes up literally the entire thing. The entire real estate that you have available. You're clicking and tapping and doing all kinds of stuff. Whereas something like Callipeg, it's very specific. I don't really need to go up there anymore. I need to draw and then click, and then draw and then click. So yeah, it depends on your habits. But I'm not going to lie, it might be cool to have like a 16-inch iPad.
I mean, I have that original iPad Pro, the like real big. I think even the new one that's large is smaller than that, and I love it. I love this. Like if I could have like a like a sheet, but part of me is because I love the feeling of like it feels like a sketchbook, so I can just kind of hold it and I can be loose. That I like that, but for some people they want the travel size. So it's like you're saying, it's all about your own personal needs.
Yeah. And if you got the money, buy all of them.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you're not using the one anymore, especially that iPad mini, send it on over to France so we can get some testing done.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Also, it depends on what you are used to, because as I told before, I'm a little sketchbook guy, so I just have a tiny stuff and just one pen.
Yeah.
So to me, it's already pretty decent, pretty large to work with.
Yeah, that's
even
true.
With LumaFusion, it's a tiny bit like
a little cramped.
size.
Yeah,
could be a little bigger.
Yeah,
but for the rest, it's perfect to me. Yeah.
But the cool thing about LumaFusion, if you are at your desk or whatever, you can connect you can get an adapter. I have one around here somewhere. I was going to show you guys, but I can't find it. I'm not going to waste too much time. But you can get an adapter and put a external monitor connected to your iPad, and then the screen that you're actually viewing the video on, you can have that be a part of the external display.
Nice.
And then that way the interface kind of cleans up. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've
seen videos about this.
Yeah.
I don't have an external monitor, so I won't be able to do it. But I've seen stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And for the editing, it's really cool. In a previous setup I had two screens and a MacBook at the center, so I was just like this, and it was pretty comfortable. But now I'm really tiny stuff. But sometimes I want to have like an external monitor or a real laptop to make some 3D stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So maybe in the future I will get one again. But for what I do in animation and editing, the iPad is good. But sometimes I want a bigger space, and I don't have it now.
So then let's talk about, you guys have this cool app. You guys, I'm not sure if you guys had talked to Travis before you did the Kickstarter or after or whatever, but what was it like approaching, Disney animators and saying, hey, we have this app, would you mind taking a look at it? What was it? What was that sensation like? What was that feeling like when you reached out to someone like a Travis Blaze and was like, what do you think about this app?
We knew each other from previous jobs and everything, as I told you in the previous podcast. So we already did some events together. So we were pretty like friends and everything.
Yeah.
So it was pretty easy to just send an email. Okay, are you interested to do that? And I think it's also about the mood we have when we are in the animation industry. We are always willing to learn new stuff and to be part of different projects. So I don't know other industries, so I don't know how it is elsewhere. But I think in animation, for the people I know, it's pretty nice people, and you always want to help others. So it was as easy as an email and a Skype, and just okay, it looked like that. Do you want to promote it? Do you want to be like an ambassador of it?
Yeah.
And it was pretty natural for the different artists we had in the reviews and everything. So we are pretty lucky to have that approach and feeling about other artists, and the fact that they like us in return. So it's good. Yeah. We could be like horrible people and always asking nice people, and just now, so just too weird for us.
Hey Jack, watch this. So did you guys approach Aaron first, or?
Oh no. We just I heard about the joke about it yesterday. Basically, we know Aaron as well, but we did events with Travis, so we have that particular relationship with Travis,
Yeah.
and we asked him, and after we reached Aaron to talk about it, and I think it's probably Travis who told Aaron about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but yeah, basically it's Travis. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I say that way more joking than anything because like I understand being the second son, so
I'm a second son too, yeah.
Are you? Ah,
Yeah,
see?
in the middle. So there is a younger, there is an older, so I'm just I don't know how to feel about this.
You're the middle
But
kid.
just you're in the middle. You're just the smallest. You're just the biggest. You're just there.
Is it? Do you have two brothers?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So this is my dilemma. I have an older brother. So, if you believe in the Bible and everything, like supposedly when my parents pass, like my brother gets everything, and that sucks because I'm left out. But not only am I not the oldest son and I get ripped off, but I have a little sister. So I'm not the oldest son. I'm not the only boy. I'm not the baby. I'm not the only girl. There's literally nothing special about me.
You're the only middle child.
We have to write a book about this lonely middle child, making a feature film about it.
Yeah,
and
using
all the middle child are
Callipeg.
like, yeah.
We can use Callipeg in 4K to tell our story in 4K.
Ooh.
Yeah, in 4K with thousands of frames in one single shot. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, Landon, do you have any older siblings? I'm waiting on you,
He can't
Landon.
hear.
No, we lost him.
He's moving. He just can't hear
Sorry,
us.
my say that again. My headphones dropped out.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I got one older brother, so
Perfect. So look,
I'm the youngest.
Look, this is the dream
You're
team,
the
right?
I'm the baby.
we got Ben, we got Jack, me, Landon, and Travis. And we start a project. We name it The Second Born.
It's like a horror movie, like a malediction, a curse, and everything. Yeah.
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 The second born.
I think we have something here.
The show title.
The Second Born.
Yeah.
And then we can call it.
So you have the story of the first one. Everything is great. So the sky is blue and everything. But one day, second birth. It could be nice, like a fake trailer. It could be cool.
Yeah, even if we did just a trailer, you just never know. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I need to refocus because we're going down
Yeah,
that
now you're
tangent.
talking about.
You're already directing it. Okay, wait, it will be like this.
Carlos doesn't need any more ideas for projects. Let's just say it. Don't give him
There's a
any.
pile.
I think we're onto something because Travis has been talking about kicking around some ideas and doing some Sketch Zone shows where we all get together and maybe even use Callipeg while we're doing the show and everything. It'd be fun to get together and just kick around some ideas to see if the second born has legs. Even if it's just like Ben just said,
Yeah, silly little trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a team of second borns that when they come together, they turn into like this big robotic art machine.
It could be a rock band.
The
rock band
older,
the second borns tonight. Yeah.
the older brother or sister is the evil evil character. I know my mother. I was surprised. My mother is also the youngest, and she was telling me about the things her sister used to do to her when they were younger. Like she would like just leave her in the store. She would just leave her in the store, and just completely leave. I'm like, oh my god, that's crazy. Like,
yeah.
And
I think there can be a jealousy between the first and the second. Like I was a king, and you arrived, and you took all the attention. So yeah, there is many little stories and fairy tales to talk about. Yeah.
So then the sequel is like the return of the firstborn.
Yeah,
the classic upheaval.
That's it.
I think that would be hilarious. Even or like everyone has their own little clips, right? And then and we see the similarities between everyone's little short story. There's something there. That's what I'm trying to say.
We take notes.
Yeah. Yeah. Or even one of us starts the story and they tell that story and then it blends into the next person's story and then that blends into the next person's story. I don't know. There's something there. Sketch Zone.
Yeah.
Come here for plenty of ideas.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
And then
I had
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was gonna change the subject if that's all right. I don't know.
Oh, please! I was gonna change it too, but
okay. I had a question, Ben. Is there what's next for Callipeg? Do you have like a timeline on new features that you guys are working with? I don't know if you kind of answered it already or what, but.
A bit. Currently, we are working on the video import and the images sequence import.
Mm-hmm.
So for that, we are going to add a new type of layer. It will be a video layer. You can't merge a video layer and a basic layer because it won't be the same kind of stuff in it.
Right.
So that's the next one. And basically, I think the next big one in a few months will be the sound. And when we add the sound, we also have to think about maybe notes and everything that's coming with the sound. How does it look? Icons,
like little markers and stuff.
Do we see the wave? Is there the scribble where when you go in the frame, does it go like or not? So we have to deal with everything like that. And it's each feature is a big stuff because sometimes technically it's easy to add for the developer, for Damien.
Yeah.
But he says like it's okay for me, but we have to design everything and how does it work and where do we tap and everything. Do we tap drag or not? So it's that's the two big things coming in the future, and there is no particular timeline. At least not a public timeline. We won't tell like a dates or anything because we want to just make it and release it whenever it is done.
Gift.
Well, I'm going to be harassing you for the next couple of months till this big update comes out.
Is it ready? And now
I am definitely ready for the audio. I love doing like dialogue pieces and little acting things, so the audio will be very helpful.
And even the cool thing with, again, Callipeg being so approachable, I don't think if I have ever in my life sat there and thought to myself, let me go sit at my computer so I can practice drawing dialogue. You know what I mean? Doing lip syncing and stuff like that in Adobe Animate, that's one thing. But like actually drawing mouth movements to a sound file, like that would be a really fun experiment for, like an afternoon or a weekend or something.
Yeah. And there is also I think it's the 15 second challenge or 11 second challenge. You can
11 second.
It could be a nice way to practice that. I wanted to do that for my own animation skills. I didn't for now, but I really want to get into the voices and everything, because for now I just animate silent stuff, I guess, with just some sound effects. But I never been into the dialogues. Also, one thing who can be difficult for new animators like I am is the interaction between two characters. I've never done that much, so that's one of the big challenges I want to achieve maybe this year, like animating two characters having a discussion or fighting, and there is interaction between the characters. It's a big deal for me to try that.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to say that because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but we'll say when you see I'll try to not get in trouble. When you see a professional animator, when you see their work, it makes you want to do that, right? So some people that we have recently talked to was kind of showing us some of their work, and I couldn't wait to turn the iPad on. You know what I mean? So
I think so.
Yeah. So
why are you gonna get in trouble?
Because I don't.
Yeah,
because I don't want to go to bed. Okay.
Stuff.
So after the show, after we had Travis on the show, he showed us some of his work, and it made me sad because it was the middle of the night, and I wanted to turn on the iPad and try what he was doing.
Right.
You know. And again,
yeah.
Callipeg makes that, the iPad and Callipeg makes it to where you can do that, and it's not even like you can do it sitting on the couch watching TV. You know, that's why
exactly what I did. Yeah, yesterday when I was listening to the podcast with Travis.
Yeah,
and you were talking about just practice and make stuff and draw at any time. And I was like, I'm just watching some people talking. I could do something, and I just took my iPad, Callipeg, and I did the start of the animatic you have seen on my Instagram with the guys, the chainsaw and the traveling monsters attacking.
Yeah.
So I did that in like the last hour of the podcast, and I refined it
cool.
today in a few hours. And now it's a project I want to do, and I think next week I will get to the animation and everything. So it's basically, you just have an idea, you just take up the iPad and you draw, and stuff come out. So it's pretty natural to just sketch from any idea with that, I guess.
Yeah. And again, just the fact that it's approachable and you can try different things, and that's something that we continuously say on this show is practice and try to stretch your skills, and this setup makes it, you have no excuse. And every little storyboard, every little animatic, every little scene that you plan and you practice with, whether or not you do anything with it, that's beside the point. But every time you do anything, you're learning something, so you're going to get just a little bit better, and then you do it again, you get a little bit better, and all of a sudden you're Travis Blaze.
Yeah. One day, boom.
Just one day it falls in line, and yeah.
You just wake up and you're Travis Blaze. Awesome.
And there's also one stuff we didn't talk about is different animation approaches depending on the countries you're in. For example, I know that in Japan there is some different workflow. For example, for the brush lines and everything, they like to draw with aliasing, so with the pixel visible, and they animate with that to feel correctly with colors and everything. But we also have to think about the different. So we have to fit the needs of the independents who wants to make everything in one app, the studio who wants to just make colors, animate, or in between with different people, and the different industries from the different countries. So there's also some challenges like that. For example, in Japan, I think they use this XSheet really often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they want, for example, the timeline to be vertical sometimes. So we have to think about the customization of the interface, because Japan is a big thing in animation. So really, we want to fit the needs of Europe, United States, and Japan, basically, because the other countries are picking one of the methods. So that's the big stuff. Also, we have to think about the designs and the functionalities of everything.
Man, is that on the to-do list? Like a movable, customizable UI?
We didn't think about it at first, but we had some feedbacks like the play is at the middle, but I would like to have it just under the thumb. So that's the kind of stuff we are going to think about for future versions, because it's on the couch like this, you don't want to tap, or you can't do the three.
Yeah.
That's why you have in the floating tool, you have the little dash and you can flip with one finger, that kind of stuff. But we are going to refine everything, and I think there will be more settings in the future with more customization, I guess. Yeah.
You know, I will say this: if you need anyone to test this, I would love to help you guys out. But having that little floaty menu is great. If you can move that around, that way, if you're holding the iPad, look at all my notes and stuff on blast. If I can take that little floaty menu and move it down to where my thumb is, and I can flip that way, that would be you know what I mean?
That seems like that would solve a lot of things if you could move that around and then even like customize what's in that menu only. That would be cool.
That's the
now we're asking
idea of it,
big things.
That's one of the first thing we thought about, I guess, because in my French tutorial, I call it the floating palette, actually, palette flottante in French, and my colleague just said, but it's not a palette, it's just the tools from now. So in the English version, I just say the floating tools, but actually we call it the floating palette between us, because we know we know that it will be in the future a palette, and you will have like you put two fingers like this, and you will have your colors here, your history, and you will have different stuff you can customize. So we are also thinking about a way to manage the onion skin in the timeline directly, but it's pretty hard to define how we do it, because that's like the flip. It's something nobody else has, so we have to define it from the start. How could it work? For example, for the multi selection, the tap drag is like the only thing we had, because it can't be just a tap and a drag, because it will go into the timeline. It will scroll. Yeah. So it will be a conflict with other things, and we have to, for example, in LumaFusion, and it's a big frustration for me. I think we can't multi-selection stuff, and it's horrible when I have to make like something move. I just take it, move, take it, move.
Yeah.
And I think they just avoided some interface problems that they could have with multi-selection, because it's pretty hard to make it work correctly.
Yeah.
And that's one thing about LumaFusion. I think if you double tap the timeline, it zooms all the way out. And I'm not 100% a fan of that. And sometimes you lose. I lose my spot where where the playhead is, because I tapped the wrong way or whatever. But that tap drag thing, once you got it figured out, then it becomes automatic. And that's why I was making a big deal out of it. But I almost like it that way because you have to be deliberate to do that, and you're not going to accidentally tap drag and select something that you don't want. So it's almost like this. It's almost like a feature because you're not going to accidentally move something or accidentally select something, or because we've all been there where you click on something and you accidentally move this whole thing over there and when you didn't really want that to happen. So it's almost a feature, but yeah, you definitely do have to practice that tap drag thing, right, Jack?
Yeah,
I am still practicing.
That's the big deal about it. How to make it accessible, simple, and yet not conflicting with any other thing. And you have to be conscious of what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't let you don't have many solutions to make that thing happen. And also you have to think, okay, so now it's a double tap and drag to multi-select something. But in the future, we have to make it relevant with future stuff we don't know yet, which are coming in the app. Right. So we have to think about it, and also for the icons and the colors. For example, for a little behind the scenes, we talked about the video layer. Should it have a color or not? And we thought about different colors, but we were like, but when you select a layer, it becomes purple, blue. So does it conflict? And also in the future, you will be able. It's really likely that you will be able to make folders and to change the colors of layers groups. So it will conflict. So we have to think really far in the future. It's a ripple step.
Yeah. It sounds small, like, oh, I can change the color of a layer, but then there's the ripple effect through all of that other stuff. That's crazy.
And also when I say, for example, can we do this? We just tap and it does this. And Damien is like, okay, but when you tap and you have something selected at the same time, and if you move this when you are doing this, what happens? And a discussion of like 1 hour is like, okay, when you tap and you drag, and it's a really big stuff, and we have to make it just clear for everyone once it's released. So it's a big stuff. It doesn't seem like it, but it's a big work.
And what's funny is I've been in meeting rooms with on a software team, and these are the conversations that you have. Like, if it I always tell this story, but I've been in a room where I was writing software and we had a 45-minute discussion of what we were going to name the mute button. But these are all these goofy conversations that you have while you're developing an application that we'll say the end consumer can take for granted, which is fine. It's your job to,
ideally you want picky. Them to, it's the weird part.
But these are very important conversations that happen that at the end of the day, someone or a group of people have spent hours deliberating, trying to figure out, if you tap drag, what happens? What do you see? How does it move? How do you, is it going to affect anything else? And it's just part of the process that eventually turns into something like a Callipeg. With that being said, what's the Callipeg team's workflow like? Do you guys get together once a week and kick around ideas, or do you mistreat each other like I do Jack and say, hey, I know it's 2:00 in the morning, but I have this great idea. I'm about to change the world. And then you have to you have to work like that. What's your work environment like through the team?
It's pretty simple, actually. We are like we FaceTime once in a week or 2 weeks, and when we can, we really meet together. But for now, we can't do this because of the quarantine and everything.
Yeah.
But basically, we can meet like once a week or something like this. And for the rest, we work with a Discord forum.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, we have different categories. There is the features, the issues, the general tab, and everything. And so at any time, because we don't have the same routines and everything. So some of us live at night, some of us live at days, for example. So we have to just put notes in Discord at any time. We also have a list, a to-do list, so we can add a specific task to do. There is, for example, the hot fix. Okay, that needs to be fixed now because people are crashing on it.
Yeah.
There are the V2 updates, and everything is organized like this. So at any time we can just discuss about a point. For example, when someone is sending an email via the website, I just text the email. I respond if I can to the person, or I just copy paste the feedback, and then I say, okay, that person has this problem. What do we do? And Damien is thinking about the issue, and sometime in a few minutes he said, okay, it's just the compression of this thumbnails and that, and he can fix things pretty quickly sometimes. And if not, we just add it to the tasks. So that's basically it. That could be freedom and a difficulty at the same time to be able to work at any time, because sometimes you're just I don't know, like it's 10 p.m. and you just have a notification of another person like working right now, and you want to see it, but you are not working officially. So you can actually work all the time. So it could be difficult to manage that, and also I have to manage my personal life, my professional Callipeg life, and also my YouTube clients life. So I think you could have the same managing time issues, like having the discipline to stay on specific time to work and everything. And it's pretty new for me to be requested at any time, with many people just asking about Callipeg from anywhere in the world also. So at night, it's the day in the States. So people are like, okay, why does it doesn't work for this or that? And I want to reply in the minute because I will forget it. So that's a big stuff to have in mind when you work like internationally and with the team and with the customer services. So that's basically the workflow we have. We just put ideas and discuss about it at any time, and where there is a release, we just test it, all of us before. And the beta testers also have access to the beta version, of course. And then we decide, okay, is that a release we have to communicate about? Is that just a small update, and people are just going to click update and have just bug fixes? So that's it. And we just talk together once a week for a few hours to define what's going to be next.
That's really cool. So during your next meeting, I want you to take about 10 seconds and just let everyone know that Sketch Zone loves what you guys are doing. Your efforts are not in vain. Like, we legit, everyone, with the exception of Charlie, because he's Mr. Environment 3D guy, but we still keep him around. He's still useful, but yeah, like, for real, like, let everyone know that your efforts are greatly appreciated. And
do you mind if we ask like how your numbers are? How have you guys been doing?
I can't
like downloads
precisely, but it's pretty good for starting, because just 2 weeks in. So there's many people downloaded it. Also, there's the fact that in the App Store it looks like a free app, because there is in-app purchases. So some people download it, think it's free, and then opens with a price tab. So maybe there is some communication to make around that part, because most of the other apps are just one-time purchases or subscriptions.
Yeah.
But there is not that many with the two options. But basically there is I guess a few thousand downloads and saves for now.
That's cool.
So we are going to see how it goes for the months coming, because I think the first 6 months and then the first year will be a big study we can do to see how it will work, because it's also our first company officially, because we had some person company, so a micro company we had.
Sure.
So it's simple also in the taxes and everything. So it's a simple studies we have in France. But now we are four. We are the real company, and we have to deal with everything around that. So but that's going pretty good for now, and we are really excited to see what it's gonna be in the months coming, and also what would be the feedbacks when the videos is coming. And the audio is coming. I think audio will be a big stuff, because people are asking it all the time.
Oh yeah.
So it will be a huge deal, I guess.
Yeah. That's going to be a good addition. And I know that people were a little disappointed about the video thing, but like, come on, really? If the shortcut is
you can import the frames if you really want it.
Right. What you do is you take the video, you export that as PNGs. You have the little, your Photos app floating there, and you just drag each frame in there. I mean, it's not 100% efficient, but you still can get it. And Ben was just saying that it's right around the corner, so relax a little bit.
It will come soon. And also it's we can't say it as an excuse or anything, but it is a really new product. And also the question was, at which point can we sell it? Do we have to wait for a really complete thing?
Yeah.
Do we release it even if there is no video import?
Yeah.
And we had to find the right moment. So I don't really know how was the other apps when they were released for the first time. For example, for LumaFusion, I just heard about it like 1 or 2 years ago, but I think they're really older than that.
Yeah.
So I think Callipeg has a pretty good exposure with the very beginning, the first weeks of it. It's just 2 weeks on sales now, so it's pretty. It's a big deal to manage that. Like we are relatively becoming famous, if I can say. But it's a new stuff, and we are still working on the basic features that are still missing, like the perspective tools and everything.
Yeah.
So there is stuff that's also where
drawing guides and stuff. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's pretty big work, and we have to deal with people thinking, okay, it's a new app, but why doesn't why there is no sound, and why this and why that, and that doesn't work, and okay, we are just 4 people 2 weeks in. That's going to come later, please.
I think it's like Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it's like a product of how successful I think the launch is, and I think people like it's so kind of fully fleshed out just in the first iteration that people are just maybe excited and just kind of ready to do everything on it, and it's just like they can't wait.
Point. Yeah.
And not to mention like Procreate. when Procreate first came out, the thing that made it super successful, at least in my eyes, were the brushes. The brushes kept that thing alive because we didn't have those. Nothing. Drawing on the iPad was tough, and then
Limited,
Procreate came out and gave you that the feel of the proper brushes and stuff like that. And then through the years, they added things like being able to create your own brush. You weren't able to. You weren't able to. Make your own brush. They didn't have the drawing guides. They didn't have the perspective guides. They didn't have any of that stuff. But what you do is the reason why I think what you guys are doing is going to be pretty successful is because, again, the approachability is there and the potential is only obvious. And for this to be your initial release, like you guys should be proud because it's a very well-rounded, very powerful app, and there's only good things to come. So I, for one, am very excited. So anyway, with that being said, we've been going for a couple hours, and if it's all right, Ben, we would love to have you come back. We already have a follow-up show in the works. We're planning it where Ben and Travis and
we all draw on Callipeg.
We all go nuts. So that's right around the corner. We just need to figure out how it's going to happen so we can make sure that everyone is going to be able to be there. But with that being said, Ben, if people want to find you on social media and find out about your artwork, your animations, your tutorial videos, and even Callipeg, give us all that wonderful information if you don't mind.
Yeah, so basically you can just type my name, Benjamin Cerbai, in YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and you will find my work. But basically the two main platforms are YouTube for my videos. So as you said, it's in French, but I didn't know that the subtitles worked well. So if it is, it's nice because it's just the automatic Google stuff. And the Instagram where I post in French and English some animations and workflows and everything. So that's the two main points. And for Callipeg, you can get it like on the App Store or on any iPad with iOS 13. And you can find us by typing Callipeg in Instagram, Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah.
And basically, we are... Yep.
And we'll make sure that we have all the links for all of this stuff in the show notes. Because we need to make sure that you guys are successful. Travis is in the chat room starting trouble.
Don't even.
Yeah, here we go, another 3 hours.
Yeah.
Hey, Landon.
I got three other hours.
Yeah. Hey, Landon, go ahead and hit them with your deets.
So if you want to find me, it's LandonRWilson.com or Instagram, Twitter. Also, Alien Fair. You can get a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Alienfair.com. FAIR fair. That's it.
Nice.
Alien FAIR. Oh, and Callipeg is CALLIPEG. Callipeg.
What is that? Is that French for something?
No, it's pretty hard to find a name because we find some nice name in Latin or anything, but it was already like notes apps or something like this. So we have to deal with the stuff we had. And Callipeg is for Calli is for like calligraphy, the writing. And Peg is for the peg holes in the paper.
Yeah.
In the 2D animation, because we really want to have the flip and everything like in 2D animation traditionally. So that comes. I don't even know which person in the team find it, because we had some notes and it was like, what could it be, like animation? It could be anything, and we had some pretty bad names, and Callipeg was the best.
I like it.
I hope it's good to remember it and everything, because it's hard to find a name that's
and it's fun to say.
Remember.
It is. It is a pretty fun word.
I hope so. Yeah. It's like it's bounding. Callipeg. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey Jack, why don't you let people find out how to follow your work online?
You can always find me at Sketchbook Jack on Instagram, Pinterest, a couple other places. Sketchbookjack.com is coming back. I got it. I got to just re-upload my old site. That's right.
I see that Travis is talking about Ben in the Sack with Jack. I heard about your story in the latest podcast.
Yeah.
He wants to make a child book collection, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, that's a
trilogy. Yeah.
Travis, I don't know if you're here, but we were brainstorming on an idea, and this could be the thing, right? A kid's book about the second born child.
Yeah.
The trials and tribulations of the second born. Yeah, sorry about that, Elizabeth. I didn't.
You blew their ears off, apparently.
Yeah, I did. Hey, you can find me.
Where do people find you?
You can find me at coconutjustice.com, Coconut Justice everywhere else. YouTube.com/coconutjustice. Subscribe there for great fun. And this is Sketch Zone. Obviously, you can find us on YouTube because that's where we are, but you can go to sketch.zone and we have links to everything there. We have all the links. We'll have all the links to Callipeg and Ben's YouTube channel and everything in the description here. And that's about it. Thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and hang out, and everyone here on the panel, thank you so much for taking time, especially Ben for taking time from Callipeg and all the things that you have going on to come and hang out with us and tell us this story about this wonderful, wonderful project.
Thank you for the invitation. It was really, really nice. Yeah.
Wow.
And I would be happy to come back to draw, sketch, talk about animation ideas and everything. Could be cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm ready for that episode.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Cool.
All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend. See you in the next one.
Bye.
Yep.